Hi YouTube, it's Nikki with Our Simple Life, and today I'm going to be going over how I prune my hydrangeas and what I do with those that I prune off. You can see these are well over 6 feet tall. See how large this one got? Well, I'm going to be pruning them back so that this spring they can come out just as big and lush as they have in the previous years. I've never saved the seeds from these hydrangeas, but this year I'm going to try to do that. I'm also going to be saving the brambles that I cut off in order to root them and have more to propagate this spring. So come on and join me. Now you can see that I was really brutal on this plant, but this will come back full and lush. You can see that the growth on these, I clipped these back just as much last year, and this is new growth. So I'm not afraid that these will come back, but I did want to show you, there are some small branches that are starting to come across each other. So I want to make sure to really prune up good on the middle to make sure that we don't have any crossing, because that can cause damage to your plant. And it's not good for them to be crossing on the inside, on the middle. So I really want to prune really well in the center of the plant. Another thing that I want to point out is when you cut, you really want to make a smooth cut. I'll show you right here. Make sure that you've got a good sharp blade, and if it's not smooth, just come back over it. Because those little nodules, they can harbor water and create disease on your plant. As you can see, we left these pretty bare. Here's our fur baby Roscoe. And so we were pretty brutal in pruning these back. You can see that we got quite a bit off of them. But in the stems that were left, you can still see the green here. Let's see if it'll focus. So you can tell that these are very much alive. And in the spring, these little nodules, you will see them start to sprout. Let's see if... And I've got a new transplant from last year, and you can see these have already begun to sprout. We have pretty mild winters here in Mississippi. So I think these will be just fine, but these that we've pruned back will do just like this when the weather heats up just a little bit more. And I'll bring you along to revisit that. we'll go over how to propagate them and start rooting them. Okay, so now I want to talk a little bit about propagating and reseeding. So, open my paper bag, and ideally I would have done this right after it bloomed, but I wasn't looking into saving the seeds from hydrangeas. So I'm gonna try it this year, see how it goes. I'll let you guys know how the experiment goes. But hydrangeas have a lot of sterile flowers, but in the midst of those, there are flowers that seed. And they're so tiny, they can appear like dust. So what I'm gonna do is take a couple of the heads of the hydrangeas and just shake them in a paper bag and take that dust-like substance that comes out, and you just seed them right over the top of your compost and keep them moist and wait for them to germinate. I will do that in the spring. So I'm going to try to get some seeds, but my most proven method to propagate hydrangeas is to try to reroot the stems. And we'll go over that in just a second. Now also, I want to point out that when I'm pruning, none of this is going to waste. I'm going to put the stems through my mulcher, those that I don't try to repropagate, and I'll also compost the heads as well. Now I'll show you guys what I'm getting out. Right now I'm just getting the little leaves or flower petals all out. I'm gonna save this and just leave it like it is. But underneath this dust does appear to be some dark seedlings. I don't know if you can see in there. So I'm going to just save this whole mixture and put it over the top of my compost and see if that will germinate me some more hydrangeas. Now this is the Limelight Hydrangeas. My favorites are the blue, and I enjoy the pink too, but these are white, kind of lime color, and they're more of a cone shape as opposed to like a sphere. And then what we're gonna do to propagate the stems, we're going to take each bramble, and under the soil, what we want is 2 nodules. Since these are so far apart, I'm just gonna make these my bottom 2 nodules. And on the bottom, you want to cut at an angle. You do that so that it has the most surface area to draw in the water. So these 2 are closest. We're going to go at an angle. So that's going to point me down into the dirt. And you can even scuff up the outside bark, and that will give you more of a surface area under the soil to draw in water, and also to create roots. And that's exactly what you want, is you want your stems to create roots so that it can grow new plants. Now you want to try not to damage that cell wall where it carries the water up and down. So you don't want to get all the way to the white. You just want to leave that green right there, that green layer. So you want 2 nodules, 1, 2 under the dirt, and then you want 3 above. And then I'm going to cut flat across so that I know that that's my top and I don't plant it upside down. So we've got your nodule at an angle, and I don't know if you can see that. Let's see. I know my hands are dirty because I've been playing in the dirt today. But this has, it's not a real smooth surface, and that's okay because you want roots to develop out of that. So you'll have the 2 nodules under the dirt, and your soil line will be about right here, and you'll have 3 nodules at the top. Now that's going to be where your green growth starts to come from. I'm going to go ahead and put these in some compost and rooting hormone and get them started in my greenhouse or indoors, excuse me, indoors, so that it can be warmer for it to propagate the root system. You really don't want a whole lot of leaf development on the top because you want it to focus on the roots first so that you can have a healthy plant. Now you'll see there's not enough of the nodules for me to continue to cut off of this one, but now on several of these you probably can have more than one cutting on each bramble. And I will cut more than what I want. I can share with friends or possibly even sell to a nursery. I'm not sure if you have any connections, but we're gonna do the same thing on this cutting. Let me cut this more of an angle. And then we've got the 2 nodules for under the dirt, 1, 2, 3 for above. And we're gonna cut this flat so that we know that that's the top. Now this one has several nodules still left on it, so I'm gonna go ahead and try to get some out of this. So we're gonna cut at an angle, 1, 2, and then 3 above the dirt and go flat. So you want photosynthesis to occur so that whenever it does sprout leaves, it absorbs the sun's energy and it can store it into the root system and the stems into the plant. So you do want some leaves, but if you have more than about 2 little bunches of leaves coming out, you might want to prune those off until well into the spring so that it can focus on the root system. You want at least 8 weeks after you see signs of the leaves before you transplant. So after about 8 to 10 weeks after you see the formation of leaves, you can go ahead and transplant that into your yard wherever you're going to plant. So I'm going to save the rest of the brambles to do this later on, but I've got 3 pots here, and let's see, I don't have enough surface area. I've got 3 pots here, and what I'm going to do is get some good compost, some rich dark compost so that we can have all the nutrients for a good start that we need. So got this from my compost pile, and I'm going to go ahead and fill up this pot. So we've got nice rich dirt. So next I want to get the rooting hormone on my stems. And this is just some rooting hormone that I've had for quite some time. It's, you know, to grow new plants from cuttings. It's the Garden Safe brand, but I'm not affiliated with them by any means. I just happen to have these. And I mean, this powder lasts for quite a while. I mean, you can get several hundred cuttings off of using this. So what you want to do is make sure that there's nice contact with the rooting hormone and your stem. I'm going to scuff this up a little bit more. I don't really want to damage that water transplant tissue, but I do want to kind of scratch off the bark a little bit so that we have a better chance of propagating a root system. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take this root end and dip it into some water before I put it into the root hormone, just to make sure that I've got great contact with the rooting hormone. I'm gonna tap it off a little bit and just stick it in that rooting hormone and roll it around. Make sure that we've got good contact and tap it off as well to take the excess off. Here we go. And then I'm just going to push it down into my compost. And there you have it. I'm going to water it in really well and probably mulch over the top just to make sure that it holds the moisture really well, and make sure to keep this in a warm environment until I start seeing the leaves on it. We'll go ahead and do another one. If you have any questions, be sure to tap them down below. If you like this content, please be sure to give me a big thumbs up so that YouTube knows that this is not spam, and be sure to hit that subscribe button so that you can continue to see my gardening videos. So we're gonna take this compost and fill up our bucket. You don't want to tap this down really tightly because you want the roots to be able to grow. So we've got our compost. And we're going to take our stem, dip it in the water. I'm not going to scuff this one up just as much, just as a little experiment and see if it does just as well. So I got it wet and I'm getting the rooting hormone. Tap off the extra. Close that back up. Now this is just a couple of dollars, maybe $5 or so at Walmart. So, and like I said, you can get several hundred cuttings from it. And just stick it down into the dirt. Put a little bit of pressure and water it in good. Thank you for hanging out with me today. I hope that you learned something about propagating your new plants, and I pray that you will continue to join me in my adventure to grow my channel and grow more food and beauty in my yard and around our place. Thank you so much. I'll catch you in the next video. Bye-bye.